Hi, this is Chuck Dunning, and I want to welcome you to The Quest of Yehu-Aber, a poetic retelling of the Royal Arch mystery. The Royal Arch myth of initiation and transformation appears in numerous forms throughout Freemasonry's history, and still today in various rites. Among its motifs are descent, discovery, return, and realization. Anyone familiar with Joseph Campbell's outline of the hero's journey will find many, if not all, of its elements in this myth. The version about to be presented contains elements from different iterations of this myth, as well as a significant amount of poetic license. If you are well acquainted with at least one of the versions now in use in Freemasonry, you'll probably notice some differences. Having said all that, I also want to acknowledge that this poem is most obviously connected with the Royal Arch of Solomon, or Royal Arch of Enoch, a tradition expressed through the 13th and 14th degrees of the ancient and accepted Scottish rite of the southern jurisdiction. None of the official secrets of that degree are revealed here, but the official secrets are never where the most valuable gems of hidden wisdom are found. In fact, this myth is about where and how to seek them. Our protagonist, Yehu-Aber, first shows up in earlier degrees, and by the time of this story, he has already become distinguished as a highly skilled, virtuous, and valuable member of the craft. And for anyone interested in digging into this a little deeper, I would strongly encourage you to look into the meaning of his name. Before we begin the poem, I'd like to note some symbolic elements in its structure. There are a total of 54 stanzas, and 5 plus 4, the two digits of 54, added together equal 9, reflecting the journey through the 9 chambers and 9 arches. All lines are 9 syllables, except for the last line, which is 10, and that gives a total of 478 syllables. And if we do that similar reduction of 4 plus 7 plus 8, that gives us 19. And if you add the 1 and the 9, you get 10. 10 is, of course, often associated with completion and perfection. And the degrees of this myth complete the Lodge of Perfection in the Scottish Rite. The name Yehu-Aber appears 14 times through the poem, reflecting the final degree of the Lodge of Perfection, the 14th degree. Okay, we're about to get started. The reading of this poem requires between 15 and 20 minutes, so you might want to get comfortable and ready to engage with it as a guided meditation while we advance through the slides. You could pause the recording now to get yourself duly and truly prepared. Three good masons were sent on a chore, Yehu-Aber with them at the fore, to clear a plot with their rugged hands and prepare it for Solomon's plans. The weight of the task in their project moved Yehu-Aber's heart with respect. His mind stayed clear, his spirit alive, for he knew it was there truth would thrive. Where Enoch's rough-hewn shrine had once been, they'd make a place for wisdom again. Then, as they worked, their tools struck hard ground. From beneath it rang a hollow sound. In the earth a mystery sealed tight, anciently concealed from the world's sight, was calling anew right then and there, and clearly heard by Yehu-Aber. With careful work they removed the seal, beneath it a chamber to reveal, empty yet grand as if it had waited. For Yehu-Aber it seemed fated. Below they saw another seal placed, and, knowing their duty, they made haste to sling a rope and lower him down, to explore the secrets underground. Tethered to friends he knew he could trust, Yehu-Aber went down in the dust. Through stacked, arched chambers he went on down, seeking, yet fearing, what might be found. Each vault was capped by its own large stone, carved with characters and marks unknown, each stone bigger than the one before, so by the fifth he was tired and sore. Driven by faith, hope, duty, and pride, he continued deeper down inside. The shadows grew as he went lower, going more by feeling and slower. Throughout the descent the air grew thick, so dank and stale it made him feel sick. His friends' voices, now fading whispers, mixed with his gasps in the vile vapors. He thought of loved ones now in their tombs, and those whose faults had hastened their dooms, how each had made their own hell or bliss. His own pitfalls grew hard to dismiss. Great virtue he could not there pretend. He saw himself in all he condemned. What he valued in self, he knew, was in others more honest and true. The darkness exposed his vanity, to then impose a new sanity. Face to face with his fragility, his pride gave way to humility. The ninth capstone he feared was too much, but after a prayer he felt it budge. With all his strength he pulled and he pried until at last it was set aside. Below was naught but a black abyss, a foreboding and eerie blankness. The mason there paused with doubt so rife, feeling a hollowness in his life. Unsure if it was by faith or by fate, once more he let the rope take his weight. He feared that he might have entered Sheol, oblivion swallowing him whole. Sliding down near the end of his line, chills ran along Yehu-Aber's spine as his left foot slipped into a pool. He dipped it deeper, feeling a fool. His foot touched down with no rope to spare. With cautious relief, he stood still there. Then, gently reaching and taking steps, carefully, he explored those dark depths. Soon a dry surface he touched and felt, a pedestal, the height of his belt. An object sat atop, fully cloaked. Thus in that weird void, his wonder stoked. He grasped the veil and pulled it away to expose a light as bright as day. His breath caught as he shielded his eyes. His heart raced with the brilliant surprise. When sight returned, Yehu-Aber saw a great marvel that filled him with awe. From within a cube of agate stone, all that light miraculously shone. On the cube's face a simple design, a golden delta framing a sign, a single figure of ancient script which he was unable to decrypt. He stared at it long, his hands did shake, for it whispered truths his soul would take. A still small voice stirred deep inside, a call for courage without false pride. Without comprehension, he still knew that he had found a most precious clue, a long hidden yet essential key meant to unlock a great mystery. Illumined by the stone's amber light, set free from all his previous fright, he was most certain that his next steps must be toward the King of Adepts. His Grand Master, Solomon the Wise, should receive this most excellent prize. Its true meaning the king would discern, and perhaps help Yehu-Aber learn. With the cube wrapped and tied to his breast, he yanked the rope to send the request for his brothers to help him ascend from the depths to the surface again. Returning up through every chamber, he resolved to ever remember the insights he had gained during descent, to apply them with sincere intent. When Yehu-Aber approached the king, he bowed and knelt and let his heart sing. I've seen the dark, my soul divested. I've gone to depths and there been tested. Within those chambers I saw my flaws, the faults within me that have no pause. But in this cube's warm light sensed a grace that brought a peaceful smile to my face. In this journey through self-awareness, I believe I've found a clue to bliss, yet with much more to learn, I now wait, ready to follow my King so great. Solomon gazed with admiration. He saw this mason's dedication, the heart of a seeker pure and true, a soul with knowledge that too few knew. A great quest, Solomon spoke in awe. By it your soul aligned with the law, the way that follows the mystic plan and reveals in you the master's hand. Then Solomon accepted the stone. Within his hands it more brightly shone, a beautiful and inspiring sight, a beacon of the eternal light. He held it with care and deep respect, for the mystery it did reflect, a wisdom profound, a gift so rare, a truth for which few ever prepare. Blessed be this wonder, the king proclaimed, a gleam in his eyes, no thought of fame. This boon, this treasure for us is meant, a sign by providence has been sent. Let us rejoice, for in this we see the source of virtue and harmony. This stone holds power, wisdom untold, but some secrets we may now unfold. Then he spoke with joy, the way made clear. My good brother, your reward is near, for you have found what is rarely known, the stone of the wise, the heart's true throne. Behold anew this perfect ashlar, a symbol of each soul's true altar. Its light reveals our union divine, the glory of God with us entwined. This great truth is only known by those who've trekked through shadows, faced inner foes. Solomon smiled as his kinsman stood, Yehu-Aber, who had found the good. The king then called to Hiram of Tyre, let's honor this man as it's required. The three then strode an underground line, a hidden path to a place divine. Yehu-Aber with the cube again, walked where the widow's son had once been. Through the arcane passage, straight and long, in silent reverence, he carried on. 9 arches, they passed through all of these, to cease 'neath the Holy of Holies. In a crypt there, the stone was enshrined, a sacred sign of the soul refined. Having set the stone, the kings then turned to give a true hero what he had earned, a consecration most pure and true, as a grand, sublime, perfect Ilu. They whispered the true word for his ears. By its power his veils disappeared, his heart poured out, and his soul took flight into the grace of heavenly light. Yehu-Aber found where he'd begun, where Holy Spirit and self are one. His mind enlightened, his will aroused to serve all with love, he freely vowed. That reborn soul shared what he had seen and spoke of the communion he had gleaned from a man bound by culture and class to transcendent mystic he had passed. The two kings bowed to humbly attest the transformation they had witnessed. The masters each likewise testified of visions they would rarely confide. They then taught him a symbolic act to represent the glorious fact of the mystic tie that made them one, 3 rays of the primordial sun. The word they whispered with him once more, to instruct him in its ancient lore, illustrated by glyphs in that crypt. With tools of art, he was thus equipped. Then Hiram spoke with great poise and care. Guard these truths. Not all hearts are prepared. Words poorly used can harm the unwise, and threats may lurk where silence denies. Solomon said, make wisdom your guide. Find use for what the light will provide. Each insight a means, each truth a flame, to show the way and honor God's name. With humble joy, Yehu-Aber wept. May God and you kings my thanks accept for lessons received and gifts profound. My heart now dwells where true light is found. He left the court, his mind shining clear, seeing God's glow in all that appeared, each face, each form a vessel of grace. Yehu-Aber met all with warm embrace. That's the end of The Quest of Yehu-Aber, a poetic retelling of the Royal Arch Mystery. Thank you for joining me in this experience, and I would love to know more about what it was like for you and what reflections it might have stimulated in the comments below. Take care.